Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Sam Odeyemi, and this is another edition of Points in the Paint. All things NBA, all things basketball. It is good to be back. We are again for fantasy's sake, QC. Feel free to follow us on Facebook. My handle is below as well at March0220. And yeah, so I'm gonna touch on the NBA season. It kicked off here a couple weeks ago, so we're about 2 weeks in now. Um, and kind of just look over whoever the top teams in the East and the West. And then we also have the NBA in-season tournament, which also started as well. And that's new. I'll definitely want to touch on that as well. But yeah, so the season kicked off, and we're about 2 weeks in so far. On the Eastern Conference, as of today, Boston is 5-0. Philadelphia is 4-1. Atlanta is 4-2. In the East, Orlando's 4-2, Milwaukee's 3-2, Indiana's 3-3, Brooklyn's 3-3, and Toronto is 3-4, Cleveland's 3-4, and then Charlotte at number 10 is 2-4. In the Western Conference, we have Denver at 6-1, Dallas at 5-1, Golden State at 5-2, the Pelicans at 4-2, T Wolves at 3-2, Clippers at 3-2, Lakers at 3-3, OKC at 3-3, Spurs at 3-3, and Phoenix at number 10 at 3-4. Nothing really surprised me there. And I guess between our last show, obviously the Clippers did indeed pull off that trade and ended up getting James Harden. They gave up some pieces. They gave up some veterans, 3 veterans, Batum, Covington, and I can't remember who the third veteran is. Oh, Morris, Markieff Morris. But they did get James Harden, and he is slated to play tonight versus the Knicks. So we'll wait to see how the Clippers look, being able to incorporate James Harden into their mix of their players already. I think their starting five is going to be Harden, Westbrook, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and Ivica Zubac at the center. And that's good. They got some size. There's definitely going to be a lot of sacrificing going on between those 4 players. Let's call them the four California guys because they're all 4 from Southern California. There's going to have to be some sacrificing if they want to see that work. But I think that can work when that comes together offensively and defensively. James Harden had to buy in, but I think they have enough and still enough bench depth to come out the West if everybody stays healthy. In the West, sticking in the West, the Suns are sitting at number 10, but Bradley Beal's been hurt. I don't think he's played all year. Devin Booker's been in and out of the lineups too. KD's been the only one out of the big 3 there that's played every game. So you got to wait for them to get healthy to really kind of take a look at them. OKC, nice young surprise. They beat my Bulls on opening night, and they almost beat Golden State here last week. They lost by a last-second Steph Curry layup, but OKC is definitely proving they're out for real. Pelicans, they're going to do good as long as Zion's healthy. Mavs have looked good too at 5-1. That's kind of been a surprise. I didn't think the Mavs would be that good right out of the gates, but looks like the Luka and Kyrie Irving duo is really paying early dividends. Golden State too, surprising at 5-2. Chris Paul off the bench, it's seamless. Like he could literally come off the bench and have 2 points and like 12 assists and impact the game so much because he's getting those bench guys like Kuminga and Moses Moody, Saric. He's getting those guys easy buckets again and giving and just kind of putting the pep in their step. They're playing with the veteran point guard. He's not looking for his offense. He doesn't have to at this point. I mean, he could just facilitate, play 20 minutes, and just be highly, highly efficient. And so, yeah, there's no surprise there. I have gotten a chance to watch the Spurs and Wembanyama, and that's if he stays healthy, he's a load. The skills are there, to be 7'3" and be able to shoot threes and dribble and just play the way he plays. It's amazing. So if he stays healthy and the Spurs continue to build around him, I like they have a guard, shooting guard, Vassell. He's hurt, but he's good. And then they have Jeremy Showtime. I'm not even sure. I probably butchered his name, but they have him as well. So they have some nice pieces. Keldon Johnson as well. Maybe just adding a couple of veterans and maybe trying to find another star. But look out for San Antonio here in the next coming years. Say maybe 2 to 3 years. They'll probably be just where OKC's at. T Wolves. They're doing their thing too. They're 3-2. Jury's still out on them, but Anthony Edwards definitely probably taking that next step. So he's gonna, be dynamite for them. And then they always have Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert. Lakers have dealt with injuries as well, and they're sitting at 3-3. So you really got to wait and see how some of these other guys come back. I don't think Jared Vanderbilt's played all year. Torian Prince started off the year doing really good, then he got hurt. So we'll wait for those players to come back to really take a look at the Lakers. But Nuggets have been rolling, championship team, just playing off continuity. They lost Bruce Brown, but that just opened up minutes for Christian Braun and some of their other younger players, bench players too. So Jokic is just the real deal. Jokic, Murray, Porter looks good. Aaron Gordon, they all look, they're all playing well. So look for Denver to continue to be at the top of the West. They have been for some years now. I think that's pretty much everybody in the East. I know CJ McCollum from the Pelicans. He's got a collapsed lung. I'm not sure what the condition's called, but he's going to be out for a while. So we'll see what happens with the Pelicans. They're currently the 4th seed in the Western Conference now. So let's look over at the Eastern Conference. Look at the East. Boston's the cream of the crop. Undefeated still. They're just rolling teams. Obviously, Kate Porzingis has been a great addition to their team, their roster. He's shooting big man, fits right in with Tatum and Brown. And then obviously still having Derek White. Being able to pick up Drew Holiday too was big too, because he's going to help fill that void, obviously by trading Marcus Smart. And, offensively, Drew Holiday can hold his own. So that was just, a great pickup, and you see it paying dividends. If I have one worry about Boston, it's probably their paint, their interior paint, their defense. Porzingis is not exactly the best defender. And then Al Horford's older, 35. So when it comes down to the playoffs, will that paint, will they be able to hold? They traded Robert Williams to Portland to get Holiday. So we'll see how that holds up. The Sixers, 4-1, finally getting rid of James Harden and getting out of that shadow. That's been good. I mean, out back three solid veterans who should be able to contribute and help them win regular season games. Batum was one of those veterans, and he still was playing at a high level. Covington is a shooter. He can help spread the floor with Embiid. He's 3-and-D. And then Morris is very versatile. We'll see what happens there if they keep all three of them. But they definitely can help that Sixers team, as you see, alongside with Embiid and Tyrese Maxey and, Patrick Beverley, and kind of help fill that void too. Not also by James Harden leaving, but PJ Tucker was a big loss as well. PJ Tucker's a great role player, great locker room guy. So they'll have to replace that as well in Philadelphia. The Hawks, 4-2. Haven't seen much of them, to be honest with you. So we'll see. Obviously, Trae Young, DeJounte Murray, those two guards, they'll go as far as those two can take them. And then I know they got some big man, some power forward who just signed a contract extension. I think he gives them some good minutes. And then obviously Clint Capella and the other pieces they have in Atlanta. So will be interesting to see. I'm probably gonna take a look at them right now and see who's been balling out for them. Orlando, nice, another young team. Orlando could probably go like 12 deep. They have, Jalen Suggs, Cole Anthony, Markel Fultz, Mo Wagner, Franz Wagner, Paulo Banchero, Wendell Carter Jr., Anthony Black. Still got Jonathan Isaac. And this is just like me just saying this off the top of my head. They can go like 12 deep. Gary Harris is another player they have. So Orlando's just, they could literally just wear teams down, and they're young too. You know what I'm saying? So as long as they know how to close out games, um, they'll be able to win their fair share of games. And that's one of the problems you see with young teams is they don't know how to close games out. But Orlando's just loaded, so I'm not surprised that they're doing what they're doing now. 4-2 and sitting pretty. And I think their only two losses came to the Lakers and the Clippers, and I think both of those games they're in it. But yeah, we'll just have to kind of keep an eye on Orlando and see how they hold up throughout the rest of the season. It's a long season. They're a young team, so just looking at this Atlanta roster now. Forgot they got Bogdanovich too. That's the other guy I was thinking of. Wes Matthews, DeAndre Hunter, Clint Capella, Sadiq Bey. They got some obviously Trae Young. Yeah, guy I'm thinking of Okongwu. Onyeka Okongwu, who's a power forward. But yeah, he's kind of helped step and fill that void that John Collins left when they traded him to Utah. So good for Atlanta. Then we also have Milwaukee, and they've kind of gotten out to a slow start. Obviously, it's going to take Dame and Giannis time to kind of coexist. But, I mean, at the same time, too, losing Drew Holiday was a great defensive point guard, and Dame's not known for his defense. So their defense is going to take a hit. Their point of attack is going to take a hit. So teams might be able to penetrate or will be more willing to attack Milwaukee. If you can attack Milwaukee, get in that paint, and force Giannis and Lopez and all the Middleton, just force it to collapse, you're a good 3-point shooting team like that. That's how you can beat Milwaukee. I mean, you got to obviously attack them on defense, and slow them down offensively. But I mean, it might be kind of easier to run them through pick and roll, So they're gonna have to clean that up. Adrian Griffin's a defensive minded player. And that's their new coach. So I'm sure they're gonna address that. But just looking at off the top, Milwaukee's 3-2, and I'm sure a lot of that has to do with their defense. But give it time. We'll give it time. It's only 5 games. It's a small sample size. Same thing with Indiana Pacers, right below them at 3-3. Tyrese Halliburton special. We'll see how some of these other pieces like Obi Toppin and Bruce Brown, how they're meshing. For Indiana's already got going on, Halliburton with Miles Turner and with Buddy Hield and Benedict Mathurin, if I said that name right. Brooklyn, I've seen some Brooklyn highlights. Ben Simmons has actually looked really good. I'm saying he's old Ben Simmons. I'm seeing playmaking, see him, running the paint, going coast to coast. Very active defensively. I do like what I'm seeing from him. Haven't seen him shoot a jump shot yet, but and I think he can be a little bit more aggressive offensively. And I think he just kind of has to pick and choose his points. As in the moments when he wants to be that aggressive, but I think in spurts he can dominate the game. And I'm not asking him to give me 30 points, but just hey, he can do a 6-0 run on his own. He can take 3 shots. A lot of his shots, he attacks anyways, and he can go back door. He can set picks. I would love to see him take baseline threes. I think if he was a baseline 3-point shooter and him being that size, I think that would definitely open up his game immensely. Not an attack, but that's just me, in my opinions. Um, and they also have Mikal Bridges and they have Cam Johnson. I think Cam Johnson's been out. In all the games I've seen, he had played, so I think he might be injured. So, and they got Cam Thomas, and he's a certified, he's a certified scorer. He comes off he's starting now, but he's a scorer. So I know Ben Simmons doesn't maybe have to feel the need to press the score, but I think there's certain points where he should, just step on people's throats, and just dunk it, just score, like just. But he impacts the game in other ways though, so that's good for him. Toronto, honestly thinking I got a buddy who's a Raptors fan. I think the Raptors are probably going to blow it up soon. That's the same thing with the Bulls, and I'm gonna touch on them in a bit, but they're just they got the championship in 2019, and they've probably maybe gotten out the first round once or twice since then. They might have to look to to blow things up, just rebuild around Scotty Barnes, but everybody else can go, in my opinion, and just maybe keep Schroeder and Scotty Barnes and just rebuild, and Grady Dick, they're young players, but Siakam, Gary Trent Jr., he can go. They can just get back what you can. OG Anunoby is the same way. Cleveland, Darius Garland's been out, so they missed some games. But we'll see how Cleveland looks when they're at full strength. Mobley hasn't been playing that way yet. Donovan Mitchell's been balling. He's been playing out of his mind, and that's all I've seen from them so far. Charlotte 2-4. LaMelo, Rozier, those other pieces, but I just think I don't think Charlotte stresses defense enough. They're giving up 121 points a game. I think until Charlotte does that, then they won't take that next step as a team. And I mean, I don't even know if they've been in the playoffs the last 4 years. The Knicks are 2-4 too, but the Knicks are turning around. I think RJ Barrett missed a couple games, and I know they lost a close game to Milwaukee. I was kind of watching the other day, but lost by 5 to Milwaukee. But the Knicks turn around. The same thing with Miami. Miami's 2-4, and I actually took Miami out of my top 10. But Miami just kind of coast through the regular season, and then obviously what they do. They're deadly in the playoffs, so I think that's what Miami is going to try to do. They'll pick it up. Detroit 2-5, Chicago 2-5, and then Washington 1-4. Chicago might have to blow it up too. Losing Lonzo Ball it just sucks, and we've had our share of point guard injuries, but man, that hurts. And then our player development department has not been up to par. You look at these other teams that get cast off players. Whenever players leave the Bulls, and we've been saying this since I was a teenager, how whenever players leave the Bulls, they would suddenly just look so much better with another team. I mean, you go back to you just go back to all the players. Like when Tyson Chandler left, and went to the New Orleans and teamed up with Chris Paul, that's when he really took that. I mean, he really blossomed, and then he eventually won a championship. But whenever players leave the Bulls, and our player development is wash. Kobe White, Patrick Williams, Dosunmu, they should be further along in their development. So until the Bulls correct those things, we're going to be bottom of the pack. Detroit, I think Detroit's actually going to turn things around. They got some nice young talent, Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duran. They got some nice young pieces. I think Detroit will be more competitive. I think Washington's probably going to be the worst team. I don't even take them seriously. Kuzma and Jordan Poole. They both got their money. I think, and they're both, like to shoot and score the ball, and I think that they'll provide some highlights, but I don't think Washington's going to be anything competitive. I think they might just be tanking. Maybe they try to get a top draft pick their number 1 draft pick next year, top draft pick, and get somebody. But What they have now: Kuzma, Jordan Poole, Daniel Gafford. They got some pieces, but they need a dynamic player. Um, I'm not sure who that is, but he's not on their roster now. They got some nice young pieces though, but um, Gallinari, veteran, um, Tyus Jones, Kyle Kuzma, Jordan Poole, yeah, Danny Avita. Those are these and Bilal Colby, Daniel Gafford. I mean, they need something, and they need the next like Wembanyama, the next generational talent. Washington definitely, especially after shipping out Bradley Beal. Um, and they could get him too, and fit him on and fit him in there with the big contracts. But I don't think they're going to go anywhere with Kuzma being your second or your primary option. Kuzma's better being your on a championship team. I would have Kuzma like the Lakers be my third option times fourth, but like yeah, third he could slot right in with like 18 points and like 9 rebounds, and that'd be a good contribution, especially if he was an efficient 18. So yeah, we also had that NBA in-season tournament, and I did some research on it. I'll continue to talk about it because it's ongoing through this month, and I think it ends in December. So from what I've gathered so far, and I'm going to post an article on my Twitter feed that breaks it down much better, and obviously I'll continue to talk about it as it goes on. This in-season tournament, all 30 teams. There's 3 brackets in the East, 3 brackets in the West, 5 teams. Each team in the 5-team bracket plays the other 4 teams. Those are the group stages, and those go on through November. And then the top 8 teams advance to the knockout rounds. The winning team, each player receives $500,000. I think the losing team is $250,000, and then the third place team is like $100,000, and then the fourth place team is $50,000. The whole purpose of it is for the NBA to kind of generate some excitement in the season. It's an early season, has no bearings or anything on playoffs or anything. Just those, just a financial incentive. And yeah, so I mean the days of a tournament on certain days, those games are tournament games. So they're scheduled, and that's with the funky looking courts, which are really weird. Yeah, and that's what I've gathered so far in my short history. Again, it has no bearing on All Star or playoff berth. They talked about maybe giving the winner of a tournament an automatic playoff berth. That'd be interesting to see, especially to give a team that kind of early playoff berth that early in the season without them really, earning it. What about like they win that tournament, get a playoff berth, and then like their roster gets injured or they make trades. But you wouldn't have the teams playing their best basketball in the playoffs. But who knows? Who knows? It's just kind of a way to shake things up. That's what Adam Silver's been doing since he has took over as commissioner. So no surprise there. And yeah, we'll see. I'll just wait and see. I saw some games. Saw the Denver-Dallas game tournament. That one was pretty good. It was exciting. It definitely had that feel. Maybe the courts did something to that, but it definitely, the games felt a lot more intense. And that's what you like to see. But yeah. So there's that. As far as MVP candidates goes, you have your usual suspects: Jokic, Giannis. These guys are, just playing high level basketball, and that's to be expected. LeBron, even at his advanced age, Jason Tatum, Steph Curry's at being 35, averaging 30 points. De'Aaron Fox, wow, averaging 31 points. Like, man, I remember there used to just be a couple guys in the NBA that would average 30 points, like one or two guys. Like when I first started watching the NBA, it was like maybe T-Mac one year, Allen Iverson or something like that. Like, and now it's like the 30s become a new norm in the NBA. Donovan Mitchell, 32, and like these guys are efficient, Luka Doncic, 32, De'Aaron Fox, 31. I mean, there's 5 guys on that list that are averaging 30. And the 6th guy, Kevin Durant, is 29.9. like 30s become a new norm in the NBA. And those are your heavy hitters. Yes, Paul George is up there. Jokic doing Jokic things. Yeah, your usual suspects, man. AD. So still kind of early to tell in the MVP race or anything. I mean, I do love the way Jokic plays and stuff like that. So it's all in, and he's super efficient, good playmaker. So like honestly, he probably is penciled in, to win the MVP every year. But I mean, Luka's been kind of special, so only time we'll see what happens, as the season goes on. De'Aaron Fox has been special too, but we'll see how these records shake up and kind of go from there. But yeah, I think let's see. I think that's all I had for tonight. This quick scoring update. Warriors are leading the Pistons right now, 67-62. Pacers are blowing out the Spurs, 86-61. Magic are beating the Mavericks, 66-53. Yeah, the Magic are for real. 76ers are beating Wizards, 75-58. Nets are beating the Bucks, 61-58 second quarter. Yeah, the Nets defense, or the Bucks defense, since giving up, Holiday, is definitely, I mean, if you're almost getting up 70 points to the Nets. Heat and Lakers back and forth. Heat are up 47-45. Knicks Clippers 38-36. That's probably a good one. I might actually tune into that. Bulls are beating the Jazz 31-24. We could take all the wins we can get, so hopefully we can hold on. Rockets and Kings 15-13 Rockets. Celtics are beating the Timberwolves 17-12. Thunder are beating the Hawks 20-19. And then the Nuggets and Pelicans square off later, but Nuggets should be favored in that. Should be favored in that game. And I'm gonna take this opportunity, and I don't want to say it, but definitely if you're into sports betting, check out my friend's page, Gotham Gambling. He's definitely got some sports intel there for you. And I'll drop that in the chat as well. But yeah, definitely check that out if you want that kind of information. All right. So I think that does it for me for tonight. Tune in. I will tune in with you guys in the next couple of weeks. We'll touch up again on all things NBA at that point. See how some of these teams are looking. Hope we get some of these players back. There'll be some more. There'll definitely be some more of that in-season tournament games between now and my next show. So definitely touch base with you on that. Don't anticipate any trades, but if anything happens, we'll kind of go from there. Again, I'm Sam Odeyemi. This is another edition of Points in the Paint. Have a wonderful evening. Signing off.